here we go. Hold your ears, folks. It's showtime.
Hey, folks, welcome to the Generational Gap. I am Robert, your resident Gen Xer, and right next door to me is John, our resident millennial. Thank you, John, for joining us tonight. And no, I did not do it. You did not get.
What, do you got a frog in your pocket?
Did I say joining us? Yes.
Yeah.
Me and whoever might be lurking around in our live audience this evening, hanging out there in the chat. You know, I always keep my fingers crossed.
Right, because I'm a guest, right?
You are a guest in my little digital home. Yes, let's do that. Yeah. Seeing as how I got to run the damn show, yeah.
Oh, hey, it's Brandon Sullivan. What's up?
There's a Brandon Sullivan in the house. What's up, Brandon Sullivan? Welcome to the show.
He says one LOL.
Nice. Yes. I like a little LOL to get the show started.
Little LOL action going on.
So, John, without further ado, before we get started talking about any of this bullshit and that bullshit, because there's a lot of bullshit going on right now.
Yeah.
Sorry, I need to take a moment. There's Cameron Michael in the house. Good to see you, Cameron. Haven't seen you in a little while. Welcome to the show. John, before we get too deep into anything, why don't you go ahead and tell me there's something going on in less than 3 weeks. What is it, sir?
Yes, Friday, December 6th, we are having our 12-hour live stream for Toys for Tots. So, yeah, look out for that. It's going to be awesome. We've already got Matt Christensen is going to be joining us for a little while.
I'm excited for that.
Talking with Anna Voltis about natural rights, so that'll be awesome. Because apparently they disagree on what natural rights are and whatnot, so that'll be cool. And I apparently, not to my knowledge, agreed to have a debate with Anna Voltis as well about what is it? Justice is derived from authority is what we're supposed to be debating, whether or not that's true. So that'll be interesting. I'm glad that I thought of it, I guess. But yeah, I was just informed during Ed's show when Anna Voltis mentioned it, and I was like, I totally forgot about that shit.
Okay, so do you have a moderator for that, or would you like me to handle that? If you give me, I can come up with some questions, or or is it going to be a free form argument?
I think he wanted to do a more formal kind of deal.
We can try and do something formal if you want. I can make something like that happen. I can ask stupid questions that,
Brandon, there's definitely a festive rope all over me.
There is now. I turned it on. It was off because I had just done some tasteful lights up top. Just kind of.
Gotcha.
I was minimizing a little, but put the garland back. I put the garland back. And,
yep. But yeah,
just trying to keep things different.
I'm still trying to work on getting some other people for our 12-hour live stream, but we're obviously going to have our regular Freedom Scoop guys along. They don't have a choice, so. They're going to be there. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I'll be coming up with a schedule here in the next few days that I will force Robert to sign off on. And then I'll probably share some of that with you guys.
You'll be forcing me to sign off on it?
Yeah, you don't have a choice either.
All right, well, fine. All right, so all that's coming up. That's going to be some stuff. That's going to be things to do. Okay. So you want me to be there for that? Should I?
Yeah, you can show up if you want.
All right, I'll be there.
Just don't be there too long.
Do you want me? You don't want me for the whole 12 hours? I mean,
we'll see what happens. Maybe we'll need you. Maybe we won't. Who knows?
Maybe.
To
run the show, maybe. At least keep the lights on, as it were, right, Brandon? Am I right? Keep the lights on.
That's right. I'm just using you to pay the bills.
Am I right?
Yep.
John, I'm just going to go ahead and say this now. A lot of stupid shit hitting my face in the news today. Just stupid shit. Couple of things to touch on. We had another shooting in California, wasn't it?
Are you talking about Santa Clarita, or has there been a more recent
there
one?
there was another one. Something I have to look at
Holy
it and see.
shit!
I
I've not
believe
even heard of that.
another one
Does that
occurred.
also not fit the narrative? Is that why I haven't heard about it
It's possible.
constantly?
I may be getting it confused, but I'm pretty sure they said there was another one. I have to look that one up to follow up. It was a splash headline. There was also we've got another one in Walmart. Another shooting in Walmart. 4 people killed in a Walmart. No, the Santa Clarita was not the same one. The one I'm talking about happened at a backyard barbecue, football watching party, and a bunch of people got killed.
Damn.
Yeah.
Somebody, someone didn't want to pay up. I guess I don't know.
Yeah. So the Walmart shooting, I saw that today. It happened in Duncan, Oklahoma. 3 died, and then they took a 4th one to the hospital, and then they died.
Brandon in the chat.
One to cover his bases. Yeah, not the shootings.
Brandon said you meant the lights.
Not the shootings. Not the shootings. So yeah, Duncan, Oklahoma. There wasn't much on it because it was just developing not too long ago. So it's going to be interesting to see whether or not this takes over the narrative. What happens here, because that's going to put at least three. We'll call them mass shoot. They're going to qualify as mass shootings in a very short period of time.
Well, yeah. I mean, how many people died? Because isn't the thing is like 4 people, right?
It's like 3 to 4, more than 3 to 4 people, something along those lines. Yeah. So each one of them
More than 3
appears.
4.
Yeah, each one appears to qualify for under the definition of mass, or if it doesn't, it's going to be close enough to the line that it's going to be able to fall into any narrative that gets spun. The only thing that's going to be tricky is the handgun part, but this is going to, this is really, right. Again, the narrative is going to be about going after the gun manufacturers. Again, this is going to be the higher narrative, since the Supreme Court has allowed that. Which I think is the dumbest fucking thing the Supreme Court has ever done.
So I actually saw what that was recently. I think it was Sunday. Yeah, yesterday. It wasn't actually that, like, they're allowed to sue the manufacturer. What it is that the courts are allowed to hear the case. So it's not like but what I mean is it's not going to hold up in court.
Okay, they shouldn't. They shouldn't have cleared it to be heard in court. It's the fucking stupidest thing ever.
Oh, I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous.
Look, if you crash a car, you don't sue the car manufacturer because you wrecked the car, unless it was something specifically a default on their part, which most of the time it is not. Whenever your refrigerator starts leaking or the ice maker doesn't work, you don't run to the manufacturer and sue them because your product doesn't work anymore. You just get the goddamn thing fixed, and if it's under warranty, you follow the warranty.
Yeah, well, life doesn't have a warranty there, Robert, all right? God.
Exactly. It doesn't have a warranty, so there's, fuck you. There's nobody to sue except the person who killed or the person who put them up to it. And the only thing you can really do is take their ass to jail, put them in prison for the rest of their life, those kind of things. But outside of that, get off your fucking high horse. Quit trying to make somebody answer for it so you can just make a quick cash grab. That's the stupidest goddamn thing I've ever heard in my life. It's nothing but a litigation-happy society just trying to find anybody to sue. Anybody they can sue. And our Supreme Court, any court, saying it's okay to hear this case against somebody who had nothing to fucking do with any of the shootings is insane.
Yep.
It's stupid and it's insane.
Absolutely stupid and insane.
So get ready for some of that narrative to be coming forth. We're going to be talking about the Second Amendment again over the next 2 to 3 weeks. I expect somehow, I don't know, somebody's going to try and use it as a distraction, I would guess, or not. I mean, if it all just goes by with nothing being said about it, then I'm going to be highly pissed because it's like, okay, we need to recognize something in this. But, they'll be too caught up in all this impeachment bullshit because the fucking Democrats can't get their heads out of their asses.
Yeah, no, it's true. They're firmly wedged, for sure.
Look, I'm not going to say, I'm not going to say they don't have, in my opinion, they have reason to bring the man forward for impeachment on the grounds of no confidence. I could see it. But they're not making that fucking case. They're focused on this fucking phone call, and they're hoping beyond hope that they can find some little scrap of something that'll convince people that he did something wrong. And yet, 3 witnesses, nothing pertinent as far as solid evidence. And now, fucking Nancy Pelosi is standing up and trying to bait Trump out and saying, okay, well, mea culpa, if you're innocent, well, then show it. Why aren't you saying anything when you're asked to testify? Why? What are you hiding? So she's trying to play that card now. I'm like, have you reached that point of fucking desperation? Is that what you've reached?
Yeah. Well, yeah, because the issue is that Russia must be bad, much like Orange Man must be bad. And Ukraine is about as close as you're going to get to Russia being bad.
Well, the problem, though, I have in that vein is the dumbass guy still trying to get Ukraine to investigate the 2016 elections when beyond a shadow of a doubt, every source has pinpointed Russia as having been one of the instigators in that. But the whole thing about a server in Ukraine was debunked a while back, yet Trump didn't let it go, and he still wanted to talk about it. And I could see using that as a combo deal to be saying to the President Zelensky, along with investigate Biden, so that he can say, I'm just trying to get him to look into corruption. But he's talking about something that was debunked. That's not a thing. And it's like, okay, let that fucking shit go.
But wait, isn't that what the Democrats want? They want a full-fledged investigation into Russian collusion.
Not Russia, Ukraine. These are 2 separate things.
They're the same thing.
No, because the indications that there was a server in Ukraine, because Trump was trying to separate Ukraine from Russia in this by saying it wasn't Russia, it was originating from Ukraine, thus trying to take the heat off of Russia because he wanted to back up his comments that Russia didn't have anything to do with the 2016 election. So if he could point it at another country, Ukraine, so be it, because there were rumors, and it was a false bullshit rumor, and it was debunked. It was him that tried to separate the fucking 2. No,
right, much like the Russian conspiracy was debunked, and they're still going on about it.
No, there was proof that things happened with Russia. People were indicted. I mean, it wasn't completely debunked. What was debunked was that they couldn't find any evidence that Trump coordinated with Russia.
Right.
And that's,
he's been credibly accused of that, right? So
do what?
We still need to look into it more. I said he's been credibly accused.
Has he?
That's what they always say. All the articles start with he's been credibly accused.
Yeah,
of blah 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 blah. Whatever it is.
Well, but the Democrats aren't. They're not talking about any of that in this impeachment. They've chosen their fucking horse, and they're whipping that son of a bitch to death.
Beat the shit out of it.
Yeah.
No matter how dead it is. Yeah.
God
damn.
I mean, now that's not to say that again, sketchy shit has happened, on both sides. I mean, Sondland came in with his behind closed door deposition, then it turned around and changed it. But you also have, on the flip side, you have people on Trump's side. Apparently, in Ukraine, there were actually conversations 2 years ago, within 1 to 2 years, discussions. They had a briefing on how Zelensky could handle dealing with the pressure that he was getting. So apparently there's claims and briefing notes from people that Zelensky was feeling pressure, even though he came out after the phone call to have Trump's back and say, no, he wasn't feeling any pressure. And I'm like, okay, so here we go. Is this a red herring or is this something? Give me somebody that was there that knows. Besides Yovanovitch, who's going to have an axe to grind, you got to give me somebody. Get somebody sitting in a fucking seat that was there, that listened to the briefing, that was there for that. Maybe then but otherwise, what the fuck are you doing? And what are you doing? And now And now today, the Mueller report screams back into our faces because of the Stone trial.
Yeah.
That's going on. Because now it appears that Stone, in the Stone trial, there was a, what's his McNugget? Please take a moment to load it. And Trump's former deputy campaign chairman, Rick Gates, was testifying in the Stone trial and said that Trump and Stone talked about information that was coming that could help the campaign in mid-2016, at a time when Stone was attempting to get secret details about stolen Democratic documents that WikiLeaks had. Now, that's what was being testified, that Trump and Stone talked about this, yet they're saying that in the written statements, because Trump wouldn't answer in person, he had to do it with the witness statements. Apparently in those, he said that he had no recollection of ever having talked to Stone about WikiLeaks.
Mm-hmm.
So this is now going to be, now that's a thing. Now they're like, okay, we need to determine whether or not he lied, because ultimately, if they can get him on the lie, then they have something else that they can bring into the impeachment.
Yeah, and we got Seawall's driving his Striker APC into the chat, which is good. I'm glad you got rid of the half track, because that thing was just leaking oil everywhere. Made a mess of Edgestream. Fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I don't know that I've seen a Striker APC. I guess I'd have to look at one to see what it is. Is it better than a half track?
Yes.
Is it really?
Sure.
But is it a hybrid? Is it good for the environment? Which one's better for the environment?
If Brendan Sullivan's in the chat, he could probably tell us.
I would need to know which is better for the environment. I know Seawall probably doesn't care.
Well, I imagine the half track, since it's probably, I think it's diesel. So that would kind of suck for the environment, I imagine. I don't know. I don't know anything. Don't listen to me.
Yeah, it's important to me, that we help the environment.
Right.
Hold on, I need to light a cigarette.
By driving the correct, kind of military vehicle.
Right.
Be really good for the environment.
Whatever your WMD might be, it needs to be,
needs to be green.
Environmentally friendly. Yeah. So when it's all said and done, I'm seeing, all of these things being bantered back and forth, and it's making the shit show even worse. It's like they threw the shit show at a fan to see if they could spread even more shit, and make it, and it's all in one day. And shit's happening all over the world today too. Half track more than likely overall. Gotcha. So, okay, thanks for fucking the environment up with your Striker APC.
Well, yeah.
Enjoy your hole in the ozone. Enjoy your melting.
The half track is in Jed's chat, he says.
Jed's chat.
Yeah, you can leave it there, man.
Nice.
Like I said, it's leaking.
So even globally, I guess, so there's an announcement today, and I need to understand a little more about this.
You also need to talk in your mic.
Okay, sorry about that. I need to understand a little bit more about exactly what this is saying. But I guess we've changed our stance on Israeli settlements, and we no longer view Israeli settlements as violation of international law. So I need more clarification on that, but that was, I got a breaking news alert about that. So something that we are doing that's going to change, it's going to change that whole perspective that's going on there. So if you know more about that, I don't know.
Nope.
If anybody else has something in on that, but in China,
I don't know anything. I want to keep my YouTube channel. Thank you.
In Hong Kong, here's one to not talk about.
Yeah, we can talk about Hong Kong all we want. We're already banned in China. I said fuck the Chinese government a long time ago.
But, well, yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things going on with China today. I mean, in Hong Kong, I guess PolyU, the rioters, the protesters have barricaded themselves inside of PolyU, and they are really testing the limits of the police and the government.
Yeah.
They're throwing petrol bombs, shooting bows and arrows. Apparently, they shot one of the police that were there trying to get through. Is Israel settling in USA territory? No, then I don't really give a shit.
Nah, man, we should give them one of the square states or one of the rectangular states, and then the whole Israel business will be over with. They can just stay there.
But a few people were taught. I was reading the article, and there were some commentary from different people, analysts, et cetera, et cetera. But basically, it was like, the protesters are really reaching the point where they have pushed the patience of the military, the government, to the extreme. Yeah. Everything that this started over, the entire law that they were trying to put forward, has been removed. It's gone. They did exactly what the protest. It's gone. They put it. They threw it away. They're like, okay, it's gone, and the protests are still going on.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be fair, there's a lot to protest against the Chinese government.
Well, in Hong Kong, yes and no. I will agree, yes, to a certain extent. But, they're, how long do you test that patience? It's...
Yeah, I saw some funny shit, like they were firing bows and arrows. They were, like, gluing bricks to the streets so they couldn't get like cars and stuff through, shit like that, which is pretty awesome.
If I'm not mistaken, though, Seawall, the other 4 demands that came out were after the initial demand, the initial issue that started the riots. I thought that they added those in after the fact, and extended the list of demands that they want before the riots end, which I can get. I get it, but it's a catch-22. I mean, when somebody says, I already gave you what you want, now you're still going to throw shit at me and try and kill me. Well, I'm going to defend myself eventually. They've been really good about not doing this, and by God, the protesters just keep amping it up. They keep amping it up. I mean, schools are being canceled all over the city. Colleges, regular K through 12 schools, whatever they call them over there, they're being canceled. And some of the colleges canceled classes for the rest of the semester. They didn't even bother with temporary. We're closed for the rest of the semester.
So Gooberfuck in the chat says Trump eats piss. That's interesting because normally you would drink a liquid. So,
but that's an interesting take on it. Maybe he does it like a popsicle.
Yeah, that's true. You could do it like a popsicle, but you're still like, I don't know. Do you eat a popsicle? Oh, look at that. Robert's Chinese shill confirmed. You're a Chinese shill. How much are they paying you, Robert? Why are you not sharing that money with me?
Look, I'm not saying that the Chinese government what they should or shouldn't do. I'm just saying they keep telling the protesters we're about to do, you're pushing us to do something, and the protesters keep pushing them to do something, and I don't want it to turn into the kind of shit that. Yes, I know a protester got killed as well, but I mean, is it surprising that something like this is going to happen with this going on? I mean, they are throwing petrol bombs, as they call it. They're throwing Molotov cocktails at the fucking cops constantly. I mean, it's not like they've been peaceful the entire time. It's surprising how long. I'm surprised that the patience has gone on as long as it has. I mean, I must have said this 2 or 3 weeks ago, and yet the patience goes on. It has not gone full scale.
Whatever happened to the yellow vest protests in France? We haven't heard dick about that.
We're impeaching a president, sir. We don't need to hear about that.
It's true. We don't need to hear about anything except for that. Except for Orange Man. Bad.
I get that the list was extended. I understand that. Before the demand, before it was ever the demand was met, etc. But it really. The bottom line is, whatever they're protesting about, what all it includes, they're gonna get their asses handed to them if they're not careful. It's gonna turn ugly. So
We've got Ed in the chat and everything now. It's shaping up to be a
Who
party.
is Ed? Figs. I like figs. Figs are tasty.
I've never had them outside of a Newton.
But now also with China, now there's of course I want to see how this pans out. I'm not going to
Say
go
when it was extended.
do
Oh my
what?
god.
Oh, you're saying before. I have a little bit of a delay before it comes in.
Oh.
Say when it was extended. I don't know the date that it was extended. I did say that. I said I understand that it doesn't, but it doesn't matter if you start
You know you're
protest.
arguing with text right now.
If you're
There's
if
not
you
a real person there. It's just
Yeah, I
text.
get it. If you start a protest over this issue is what we're protesting about. And then a few days, well, you know what? While we're at it, let's go ahead and add this on and this on and this on. That's fine and well and dandy. It's all great and well and good. But the bottom line is you're protesting and you're going up against a stronger force if you're not fucking careful. You know, if they've had an opportunity to sit down at the table, then so be it. If they've passed up those opportunities to sit down at the table, so be it. I haven't seen anything that said that they were offered to sit down at the table, but if some of the demands were started to be met, sit down at a fucking table and see if you can hash the rest out or do something. But don't
You
sit
know
there
what?
and put everybody's lives in danger over a protest that's going to get people killed.
Actually, Ed makes a really good point. He says, "Why have none of you mashed that like button yet?" That's a really good point. I heard a rumor through the grapevine. It's not me speaking, but it's a rumor that I heard that if you don't hit the like button, then you're a complete piece of shit. Again, that's not me saying that. I don't know if it's true or not, but that's what I've heard.
Do you know who
It's
reported
up to
that?
you if you want to risk that. But
Was it a
there you go.
biased source that reported that?
No, it was completely unbiased. Actually, reported by Tim Pool. Um, no, it wasn't. I'm not gonna. That could actually be legally damaging. So no, it was not him. But I did hear about it from someone, an unnamed source. I'll say.
Seawall, I get that those people see that their freedoms are under direct threat, and they are to a certain extent.
They're
But
Fritos.
they're Fritos.
They're losing their
Um,
Fritos. Are they chili cheese Fritos or what kind of Fritos are they?
um,
Chili cheese ones are good.
but diplomacy goes a long way. Is all I'm saying. Diplomacy will go a long ways to handling things sometimes, and if not, well, fucking
I mean,
Hong
you
Kong's
got
China's, and if China's going to do what they want to do, they're going to. And but when it's all said and done, as long as we don't get involved, I don't give a shit. They're not Americans. America's freedom is already under threat, and we've got bigger fish to fry here than to worry about whether or not the people in Hong Kong get their freedom or not. Stand up
oh
and
man.
fight.
We have a credible threat from J. Edgar. He says he has a particular set of skills. If you do not hit the like button, he will find you, and he will hit the like button on your device. I don't think you guys want that. Yeah, see, look at that, Brandon. Sullivan's coming in. Mama didn't raise no non-hitting the like button, bitch. Bitch. Yeah.
No, I agree,
Get it.
Seawall. China cannot be trusted. China can't be trusted. I'm all. That's why I don't want to get involved in any of it because when it's all said and done, I don't trust anything that comes from China. I mean, I don't have a lot of trust for it. And interestingly enough, I mentioned this to you off mic, John. The trade deal. I was going to mention. There's speculation. There's talk that the way the trade deal's working out, we're not going to come out of this much better than we were when we first walked into it and we started all this craziness. It's, I don't know. Maybe because Trump hasn't been able to focus on it because he's got the impeachment thing. I could get that. He hasn't been able to do that much. But yeah, I don't want another Tiananmen Square in China. I don't want that shit to happen. All I wanted to point out was that the shit just keeps getting deeper and deeper, and I'm waiting for the headline. Military moves in. Military decides to shut down the protests in China, and it's kind of scary because I don't want to see that many people die, whether they're Chinese or wherever they're from. But they're going to have to do better than throwing some Molotov cocktails and bows and arrows. They're going to have to do better
Yeah.
than that. They're not going to win this on that. So that's why I think diplomacy needs to be their
Well,
strongest weapon.
once they start killing some cops, they can loot the bodies and whatnot. I mean, not that I'm suggesting that they should. Just saying that if that were to happen, they could potentially do that.
Now, see, while you say, Rob, it will happen no matter what. I hear you saying that, but how long have these protests been going on, and it still hasn't happened yet? So, people, I saw people say and speculating that the military was. I felt the military was going to move in much sooner than it obviously hasn't. It's like, damn. China only lasts about 80 years unified. We are already. Wait, does he mean 800 or 80?
No, 60 to 70. He corrected himself.
But he says we're already. 60 to 70. Got it. I have a delay in chat.
No, I know. I'm gonna say you gotta just know that what he says probably isn't what he actually is trying to type because he can't type. Sorry, Seawall.
Yeah,
he can't type.
Yeah, it's one of those
we
things.
Understand.
Mavis Beacon. If you'll just go online and look up Mavis Beacon, she can help you with that. Are you familiar with that, John?
Is that one of those speech to text?
Actually, some schools used it for a while. It was Mavis Beacon Teaches Typing, and it was a typing software program that teaches you how to be a QWERTY typer.
You know how I learned how to type on a keyboard? What letters were?
Video games?
Yes, from typing in cheat codes. Yeah.
Look, military moves.
Also how I learned how to spell the word overwhelming. I learned how to spell that from StarCraft.
But the other thing, there is one other thing that I wanted to point out, that I wanted to say.
It's okay, Seawall, we love you.
And,
or at least I do. I can't speak for Robert.
I don't love anybody but myself and those that I choose to. And
he doesn't even love himself. Don't listen to him.
I don't. I hate myself, actually. I hate myself so much sometimes I think I'm a millennial. So the last thing I wanted to point out, and this is, look, again, I'm not trying to take sides anymore. The Democrats are being fucking stupid. Republicans are being fucking stupid. Donald Trump is being fucking stupid. Everybody around him is being fucking stupid. His family's being fucking stupid. So ultimately, everybody's just being fucking stupid. So when North Korea comes out and says that Joe Biden,
yeah.
Now look, I'm just putting this out there, okay? So North Korea comes out and talks some shit about Joe Biden because they're not fans of Joe Biden. And apparently he did a campaign promotion that had a picture of Kim Jong-un and it said tyrant. Use his picture whenever he mentioned tyrants in the campaign ad. But ultimately they came out and Kim Jong-un said that he was nothing more than a rabid dog that should be beaten to death with a stick. Their Korean Central News Agency also continued on, put it out, and said it is the last-ditch efforts of the rabid dog expediting his death. Now,
fucking cold.
Now, right? That's some shit to say.
That's some Asian shade being thrown right there.
Oh, hardcore. So, but now, our president, because he's awesome. Rob is like the French of this chat, hates everyone, including himself, especially himself. Oh, and that's true. That is true.
Yeah.
I'm so full of hate. Anyway, so Trump gets out and tweets and says Joe Biden may be sleepy and very slow. But he is not a rabid dog. He is actually somewhat better than that.
That's right. He's somewhat better.
And then says, "But if you want to make it, if you want to make a deal, you got to come talk to me." Okay, I'm sorry, but that's just fucked up. That is not what you tweet out when for all intents and purposes, a foreign government threatens one of your politicians, one of your people. You don't come out and kind of be like, dude, he's not that bad. I mean, he's close, but he's not like that. Better. He's not that bad. I mean, maybe beat him with a golf club. Not, not just a stick.
He's more like cold dog shit on the bottom of your shoe rather than warm and mushy dog shit. You know what I mean? Like it's slightly better. It's easier to clean off. You know,
I
kind of
mean,
like that.
okay. So, joking aside, John,
No.
can you
That's the only thing you can do with
I can't get you. I can't get you to. Okay. It's,
I mean, what do you?
this
what do
is
you want me to
this
say?
is
It's not
another
presidential. Obviously not.
this is
I
another
mean,
fucking example of the lack of character of this president. Come on, look. It's just from a patriotic standpoint. Like, okay, hey, Kim, shut the fuck up. You want to talk about politics? Talk with me. Don't go running your mouth and waving your stick at my boy Biden. We may not agree, but he's here. He's on my side, right? I mean, it's about having it's about having the back of your countrymen. You know,
yeah,
whatever happened that.
That would be nice if Trump wasn't being dragged through the mud on a daily basis 8 times a day.
But you know what? Who's not doing it? Whether or not he agrees with it or he supports it, it's not Joe Biden dragging him through the fucking mud.
Oh, I'm sure he's said his share of shit.
I get it. I get it. They're
They're
not a real threat.
In my head, but
I get it. It's not a legitimate threat. I get it. I know. The point is, it's still not the fuck you come out and say on Twitter as the fucking president. It's just not. Yeah, I know. He's on board with impeaching Trump. He said it in the frickin' debates. I get it. But that doesn't mean you don't stand by your countrymen when a foreign power wants to talk shit about them. You don't get it. Come on, Kim. Come on. Let's get together. We'll talk shit off mic. We'll talk shit off mic, where only the translators will fucking hear. You know, and then you can tell me all about what you want to do to Joe. But outside of that, shut the fuck up. Don't blast that shit out there. Don't talk about my boy that way in public. Let's see. See what else Biden has said. His fair share. Yeah, he has. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, not to Kim Jong Un. Besides,
only
I
because
think
he hasn't had the chance.
the Norks were insulting dogs with that statement. Great. I don't think I've ever seen a dog grope anybody. Well, I take that back. They do it all the time, don't they?
Yeah.
They full on just hump.
They don't sniff their hair afterwards, or before, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't know.
They sniff the butt. They sniff the butt. Not all people in position to represent us are actually patriots. He's doing the old calling them out like the phonies they are. I get it, Brandon. But there's passive aggressiveness it built in there too.
You're on your own on this one, there, Robert.
Biden is on what?
On this whole Trump shouldn't have did that.
I just don't think I don't think it was the right thing to do. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck the personal issues between Trump and Biden or what they think about each other politically. It's not what you do with a foreign power. It's just not.
Robert, is everyone talking about it, or were they when it came out?
I don't. Of course, everything gets talked about.
We're talking about it.
Everything gets talked about.
There you go.
What's your point?
My point is, it's just another example of Trump keeping himself at the forefront.
Yes, and it's fucking pathetic. It's a piece of shit thing to do, in my opinion.
No, it's branding. No, that's what he's always done.
He's a piece of shit president in that aspect. He's not a decent person. He's just not. He's not a fucking decent person, and for of all fucking things. What I would like to have is a decent fucking person in the fucking office. Just a decent person that isn't shit on people. Especially not shit on people with your chummy chum buddy that you're a big fan of over in North Korea, or your chum buddy that you're a big fan of fucking Russia. I don't want to hear that you're big fans of these guys.
So, yeah, first of all, you're not going to find a decent person in the presidency because it takes a total piece of shit to get there in the first place.
That's not true.
Or
do you mean in the present day and age?
I'm talking about at least in the last century.
So you're saying we've not had a decent person in the White House in the last 100 years?
Right. They just don't always show it like Trump does.
Okay. I'll go with. I'll listen.
Yeah. And what was the other thing you were saying about character? He was, like I was saying, he wasn't elected because he was a decent person. Like, no one expected him to go into the office and be a decent person. He was elected because he was the counter to what the last few presidents we've had, because he actually just goes up there and just says things, and people like that. He said the things that people want to hear, that they actually want to hear, not what you're being told you want to hear. He just goes up there and tells it like it is. He speaks like a New Yorker, like a New York shit talker. I mean, that's what he does, and people like that.
Do they? So do they? Not all people like that.
No, enough people.
Enough people when he got elected, yeah. But I can promise you, nobody expected some of the shit that comes out of him at this.
Well,
even
his
the people that still support him are still shocked at the shit that he says. And no, Seawall, decent person, a decent person doesn't equal a coward that doesn't fight back. It equals somebody who doesn't, say it's okay, make these kind of comments okay. Like, there's a difference there. And anybody who says that it's, that this is some power, it's his ego. It's his bullshit. I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like him on Twitter. It's the worst fucking thing about him, because he gets to express his lack of character.
Yeah, so his approval rating's at 41%, which doesn't sound that great, but it's higher than both Obama and Bush at this time during their presidencies. Bill Clinton is the only one who has 0.1% higher at this point in his presidency. The rest of them are lower.
And I mean, there's which poll is that? I mean, there's lots of them.
It's
There's other polls that show him at a higher percentage, isn't there?
Yeah, it's an aggregator. That's why I use it. It's that 538. It just aggregates polls.
Okay.
So it's an average of all the polls.
It's condoning this kind of shit. Between when it's dealing with Americans, from these foreign governments, condoning actions, condoning behavior, I don't like it. I don't. That's not fighting back to me. That's not. I don't know. Everybody wants to, if you want to call it some 4D chess move, great. Let's call it some 4D chess move. What's it supposed to accomplish?
Well, I mean, it keeps him in the good graces of North Korea, so we continue to have talks with them. It keeps his face in front of everyone, other than in the context of impeachment, right? It gets, it makes people laugh, first of all. It makes we're talking about it. And if we're talking about it, tons of other people are talking about it. I mean, that's what it's about.
I don't find it healthy for the country.
Certainly not. But that's where we're at, and that's where we were at before he got elected.
Well, so then we just choose ambivalence. Is that what we go with then? We just go with ambivalence over any of it.
No, we just choose to stop bullshitting, and just I don't know.
Right? I mean,
definitely stop bullshitting is definitely the main goal. And it's just to have people speak the truth instead of putting their spin on shit, including Trump. But I mean that's the ultimate goal overall.
So where do you start, from the bottom down or from the top down? From the bottom up or the top down?
Well, I mean,
how do you stop the bullshit?
Why not from both sides, right? Trump from the top, and then everyone else from the bottom up or the middle. Either direction.
So, Brandon Sullivan said something earlier in the chat that I'm going to point out. Did it go away? I can't scroll that chat, and I don't have the YouTube chat up.
Said, Trump talks like a douche and isn't the leader to have your kids look up to in the way he talks. But he has a strong spine, and is able, who is looking to make this country turn this burning bus around. Yeah.
So I get that he does talk a good game about doing that, turning this burning bus around. I get that. But it's important to note what you said is what he said is that he's not a leader you want to have your kids look up to, and that is the thing that I take away from the way he is on Twitter, the way he is in how he expresses himself, is that because he is in that leadership position, it spawns that kind of behavior in the citizenry. I mean, people feel it's okay to start expressing more of this divisive behavior, and because the leader of it's okay for the leader of the country, and if we turn an ambivalent eye to what he is doing, then...
Oh, stop, Cameron. That's not true at all.
What he said, the bus he wants to turn around is civil rights for African Americans, women, and LGBTQ. Look, I'm going to say this, Cameron, and you're not going to love this, but civil rights needs to go away, as does affirmative action. It's one of the first steps to curing the inequalities that surround all of those groups. That's my opinion, but I believe it to be true.
The affirmative action thing, for sure. Absolutely. And then we were talking about something else. What was it?
Well, he has tried to turn the bus around from an economic standpoint. I mean, I won't say that he hasn't been making major efforts in that way, albeit have they all been successful? No. What? Go ahead, John.
Oh, I was saying he was asking that to Cameron. When
gotcha.
And where is he trying to turn that bus about African Americans, women, and LGBT?
Yeah, I think the Supreme Court. I think the Supreme Court is doing worse for those groups and civil rights than others because, as we know, the Supreme Court recently ruled in one case that it was okay for a business to discriminate on hiring someone from the LGBTQ community based off religious reasons. So, it's not. I don't think he's done anything to harm that.
I mean, I would be fine with discriminating against people based on that. We've had this argument. I think it was like our first or second episode. We had
I got
a long ass argument about that.
You
were like, John, it can lead to people being racist. It's like, yeah, they can be openly racist, so now you know who they are instead of having to hide, behind the law.
Well, I will say that the
makes no sense.
The biggest issue I have with affirmative action and very importantly the Civil Rights Act is that basically both of those things are redundancies. They're to the Constitution. The Constitution already makes all of those things clear and makes everyone equal if we don't sit around trying to get stuck on the specifics of the wording, if anything refers to men, then all of a sudden people get all antsy. Oh, we need specificity. We need to determine that speaks to everyone. Okay, great. Why don't we just put a small amendment in there again, as I've said before, that any reference to an individual in this is not based on this, that, or the other. It is only based on being a citizen of this country. Call it a fucking day. Call it a fucking day.
Yeah,
and you get rid of it, and then we don't have to protect groups in their equality. We don't have to have things that single them out as a group above others.
And then what Seawall says, why would you want to work at a place that doesn't like you? It makes no sense.
Well, and that's
you have to hire me, bigot. And it's okay, well, he's going to be an asshole to you all the time. Give you the shitty shifts or,
but that those people don't give a... Once they find out they can't get the job for that reason, they are not bringing the issue up to get the job. They're making the issue because they want to get paid.
Yeah.
That's where the root of the issue lies. Because now it's like, okay, you discriminated against me in my opinion, so I'm going to try and get paid for this. I don't want your fucking job. They'll tell you right there in the fucking court 9 times out of 10, oh, I don't want the fucking job, but I want to get paid for getting my feelings hurt. That's what it's going to wind up being. Now, I don't agree, John, that your free market idea is going to sort all of that out if it were to happen. I don't think that's necessarily true.
Well, no, not on its own, no.
I think freedom of association needs to work both ways. And
Right. If there's two people and one of them doesn't want to associate with the other one, then they don't associate.
well, this
It's consent.
when
It's
it
called
well,
consent.
it does go to this idea that do you remember a while back where there was the big fight about making corporations being seen as entities?
Yeah.
Well, okay, so then the corporation is now the entity that I want to associate with, not the individual who's running
Right.
the business, right?
But if
So
that entity doesn't want to associate with you, then you can't associate with it
right, but
in
the court,
return.
but that would have to be right. So it's if you're the proprietor at this business, yeah, you can speak for the entity. But now, if I were to say walk into a Walmart, well, you got to get Walmart's CEO down here, to speak for the entity because you as a manager, you can't speak for the entity, in my opinion.
Sure.
To a certain extent, there. But it's not going to make for a very good society if we just go full scale into, hey, be as blatantly racist as you want, because I do know that could drive us into I don't know, maybe
Well,
there
then
needs
I
to be
believe that.
etiquette classes. I don't know, something. I
Oh
don't
God,
know.
mandatory etiquette classes. Yeah, that's good.
Right.
But no, no. I mean, I believe you have a right to your opinions, no matter how idiotic they are.
Yeah, and I get it, but I do know that it's it does lead to a slippery slope, where we start to have even more self segregation. But the irony is, I have
We
to
already
look at
have that.
I have the irony of, okay, so what if white people started self segregating? Then we would be a lot more like the other minorities in this country. In self-segregating ourselves and not wanting other people in the community, because this happens all over the place, and not in white communities. I mean, this is happening in black communities. It happens in Latino communities, Asian communities. I mean, and not in the same ways that it's happened with whites versus other minority groups, but it happens. And yeah, you don't feel comfortable moving into a self-segregated community if you're not part of that community or if you're not of the same race of that community. So it's an interesting dichotomy that we're in, because I don't know, it would create divisiveness, but I guess I'm curious as to whether or not it would create an amicable divisiveness in this country. Do you think that's possible, to have amicable divisiveness?
Um, I mean, we kind of have it in a way. I mean, Sewell brings up a good point. I don't really see Christians using or suing gay bars for not hiring them. Along that line, we talked about it at the very beginning of our when our show was first starting up. About the gay coffee shop owner who refused to sell to two Christians who had walked in. Um, and like he was like screaming at them and everything, and I even defended that. I said that's his right not to sell to them. But on the other hand, it was whole bake the cake bigot. You know what I mean? It was you have to bake the gay wedding cake even though it's against your religious beliefs. But I don't have to serve you coffee because you have your religious beliefs. I
Um,
mean, it has to go both ways. It can't be one law for one type of people and another law for another type of people. That's where that
well,
divisiveness comes in.
well,
If it was one law for everybody, if everyone's equal under the law, that will stop a lot of the divisiveness.
yeah, but it's not going to stop self-segregation,
Well, I mean,
right?
probably
Or
not,
do
but
you
we
think
do
it
that
would?
anyway. I mean, we do that anyway. I certainly think that it would help find like business owners who are actually racist, because they can actually finally put that sign up that they want, says no blacks need apply, no Jews need apply, whatever they want to put up there, and then most people probably wouldn't go and go into that shop, whatever it might be. I mean,
So,
I certainly wouldn't shop at a place that was like that.
so if we were wide open on this, so we just let the citizenry sort out equality on their own, right? And you do
Hmm.
business with who you want, etc. You go where you want. You do freedom of association, 100%. Hire who you want, serve who you want.
Yeah.
Um, would we states would, but wouldn't states start to govern that?
Yeah, probably.
I mean, at the
In
at
one
the
way or
same,
another.
would they not start instituting their own civil rights? I mean, would that be okay then? Then you just get to decide which states you move into, you go to. Like if you don't
Well,
like
I
the
mean,
way,
you can also influence the legislation of that state if you're
maybe.
politically active.
I'm almost, like if I'm looking far into the future for something like that happening, I'm almost seeing like racial states, like the
Like
states.
balkanizing.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
you go to Mississippi or Alabama, and it might be an all African American state. And you go somewhere up north or somewhere out Midwest, it might be all white. You go somewhere like, I don't know, take Texas or New Mexico, and it's a Latino state. Florida
I don't
becomes,
think you're gonna find all that. I don't think you're gonna find a state going fully like that. I think you're gonna find like neighborhoods and communities, kind of like you do now, that are largely one, ethnic group or another. I think that's what you're more likely to find, and we already have that, right now.
well, I would see that as being the thing that would, because, if you have it mix, if you have a whole bunch of segregated groups in one state, you're going to have tensions, you're going to have conflict versus, okay, let's just go ahead and decide on what's allowed in the state overall. You know, is that not, that could be a thing, right? You could start to do
Yeah.
that.
I mean, it's possible. I mean, I wouldn't advocate for doing it right now because of how the political
How
climate
fucking
is.
stupid we are right now.
Yeah, it wouldn't go over well. But I mean, that's something that you can, start pushing towards. Just saying, you have the right to associate with anyone. The state can't tell you that you must associate with someone, regardless of who it is. I mean, if a black business says no white people allowed, that should be their right.
I'm going to put it out. Tell you, John, it seems almost like almost any solution you think about for any of this, that we have with the SJWs, the extreme right, the extreme left, all these different things that need to be solved. Like the real deep rooted solution to any of it seems to be something that could cause a civil war to happen in this country from one group or another. I mean, somebody's going to be pissed off, right? And when you try and affect some major change that could fix any of this, it's going to
Well,
piss
yeah,
somebody
yeah.
out. I don't know that if there's any way
Well,
around
that's
it.
why I'm saying I wouldn't try to do it now. There's no way, and it would have to be like baby steps. You don't just, all right, we're repealing everything. Do what you want now, like that. No, it has to be by baby steps.
Well, again, it could be done with one simple thing, but yeah, I mean, because you can't change, you can't get rid of civil rights and or affirmative action, and then go ahead and get rid of welfare at the same time, and then institute a fair tax at the same time, and
See,
then
Michael Vegas got it.
ain't you learned by now, John? The state can do fuck it once, libertarian free or die hard.
That's right. Damn it.
Jesus, again, 50 country states. Let's do it.
Well, that's what we're supposed to be. Yeah, that's why we
Oh,
had the Articles of Confederation, which a confederation is a loosely like associated states.
oh, by the way, just putting this out there. I don't know if it was announced today or not, but they have read this in Forbes. They said it was supposed to be announced today. It was possibly going to be announced today, but there's supposed to be a vote this week in Congress to remove marijuana from the scheduled list, the
Why is
scheduled
it a
drug
vote?
list. They have
That makes no
because
fucking sense. That would be a vote.
well, I mean, basically, they're voting to. Well, here's why. Because part of what they're going to do, part of it is that they're going to remove it from the scheduled substance list. They are going to apportion a 5% sales tax, and they're going to use that. They're talking about using that money for not reparations, but to repair
Oh
all
my
the
god.
to repair the damage done by incarcerations and everything. Basically, they're going to use that money to get people out of jail that have been, and yes, disproportionately black people They're going to help them get out of jail and kind of reverse some of the bullshit that they've done over the years. That's basically what the bill is in front of them for. But ultimately, it's basically the legalization of marijuana. It's going to decriminalize it and take it off the substance list.
Because, I mean, obviously I'm typically against, first of all, taxation, and secondly, any form of reparations. But at the same time, the state did wrong people.
Yes.
But at the same time, they're using our money to pay them back. That's I don't know. That's a tough one.
Well, they're using our money through a federal tax on it.
They've been using our money to house and feed them.
But how long have you been? Let me ask you this: did it stop you from smoking cigarettes? Was it the tax on cigarettes that stopped you from smoking them?
No.
All right. So then you might as well just take it with a grain of salt. Don't think that they're going to make marijuana legal and not get their cut. And I'm telling you right now, you want your federal government to take their cut off the marijuana industry, because it's going to be a shit ton of money for the federal government.
Yay! So they can go more into debt and go kill more brown people.
Somehow they will manage to take us further into debt. But the job market that it's going to create in this country, and Trump will, if Trump is smart, he is backing this legislation, because this is going to open up a job market. It's going to open up agriculture. It's going to open up industry. There's a lot of things that's going to happen in this country if they legalize it, and he wants to be in support of it. And that is something that he can take away as a legacy from his presidency if he were only to go 4 years, but it would also be a big stepping stone to getting him elected in 2020. I guarantee it.
The left would have no idea what to do with it, other than, I guess, say that it wasn't even Trump who was involved. So, like, oh no, we voted on that. Trump had nothing to do with it. That's the only spin I can think of. You know what I mean? To make it to where it wasn't a good thing that Trump did. Because as we know, Trump is Hitler, and as soon as you say Hitler did good,
all he has to do is be in support of it. All he has to do is be in support of it. And fuck Biden, because dumbass fucking Biden. I'm like, Joe,
Rabid dog Biden.
Here you go. He apparently today he wanted to spew some gateway drug bullshit about marijuana. I'm like, Joe. I mean, don't you have somebody to go hug?
He's almost as old as you are, so like
he's older than me. Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah. He went through the whole like.
He put the meth in Methuselah. You like that, do you?
Yeah, that's decent. No, I mean, he went through the whole like propaganda thing, about how it's a gateway drug. It'll cause you to go incurably insane.
Sure.
It'll cause you to stare at white women. That whole thing that marijuana does to you.
And of all things, for him to be a fucking Democrat and to talk shit about legalizing marijuana, I mean, boy, you don't want to get elected come on. Whoever's backing that, whoever's behind that in support of it, it's going to be big kudos for them in 2020. It's going to give them a stronger chance. That's why I say Trump needs to be behind this. He needs to be pushing for this legislation to go through. Just think about the distraction it's going to cause if this goes through. We'll be talking about this for a little while, right? So hopefully, hopefully everything goes well. I don't know if there's another vote behind this one that it's going to have to go through, or if Trump was smart, if the vote doesn't go quite the right way, fucking executive action that shit. Show us what that pen can do, right? But anyway, all right. So my guess is that I've talked too much. You've talked too much. Oh, we're right about that time. I've talked too little. Which is never a bad thing, folks. Before we get the hell out of here, John, can you give them a reminder of what we're doing? Say in a little under 3 weeks from now.
Yes, Friday, December 6th, we're doing our 12-hour live stream for Toys for Tots, for charity and whatnot. Try to rhyme a little bit. We've got Matt Christensen lined up for a discussion about natural rights, so that'll be awesome. We're going to have some more stuff planned for you. I'm trying to get some other people on. Obviously, we're going to have our Freedom Scoop group. Because, like I said at the beginning of the show, they don't have a choice. And neither does Robert. He has to be there as well. So, yeah, looking forward to it. You guys should look forward to it too. And that's about it for now. There'll be updates.
There'll be updates?
There will be updates.
I like updates. All right,
Yeah.
folks, if you haven't done it already, please hit the like button before you get the hell out of here. If you haven't already, if for some reason you haven't, hit the subscribe button. Come and check us out, and keep coming to check us out. We are going to be back here again on Friday at our regular time at 8:30 with more crap to spew. Then we'll be back again a week from today with our regular Shooting the Shit episode. Keep your fingers crossed. Who knows? Something fun and exciting might happen anytime between now and then. Who knows? Maybe we'll all be high for the next show. Hey, legally. I guess I should add that in because I know you, John.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, Robert.
You don't know, John?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
You don't know? You don't know?
No,
all
I
right.
smoke 100% purely legal tobacco. That's it.
All right, John, say goodbye to the folks. We're going to get the hell out of here.
Yep.
Say goodnight to the folks, John.
I just said see you guys.
Maybe we should start doing that George Burns, Gracie Allen exit. Say goodnight, say goodnight, Gracie.
Say goodnight, John. Yeah, say goodnight, John. Good night, John.
There you go.
I understand what you're talking about.
All right, we're out of here, folks. Peace.